All right, so there's a lady here. I got a lot of work to do on my stuff, but we got to stick together. I'm not the only victim of this, so I'm speaking out. This is from somebody named Francis, and it's in a group called Court Victims United. Um, Francis wrote, the Sheriff's Department and State's Attorney's Office have known about our situation at our house in the country since 2015, as evidenced by this email correspondence dated 2018. Yet we keep getting hammered, and there are no consequences to people who can lie and say anything about us without proof. If you look at the date, you will see what happened after he talked with the state's attorney, Petmeyer. We get accused while meeting our surveyor on our own property and detained beginning June 4th, 2018, by false emergency stalking orders for 8.5 months. Lost weapon ownership immediately. More retaliation. Then, 2020, we get ambush warrant arrested, no knowledge of accusations, no missed court dates, just warrants we knew nothing about, and now convicted with two other pending convictions behind the recent August 26, 2021 and September 2nd, 2021 sentencing. A person came to my house who lied excessively and repeatedly. I was never asked my side before the ambush warrant arrests. Proof my innocence, home surveillance with sound was never asked for prior to my arrests. Then it was even ignored and denied 1 year and 4 months later. Imagine that, them denying her rights and arresting her without proof. Who do we know who has gone through this? Anyway, let's read what else she had to say. Or he, I'm not sure. Francis could be either one, a male or a female name. It says 45 days from April 18th, 2018 is June 4th, 2018. First day courthouse open during that week when emergency stalking orders were levied against us. I typed, I have similar issues in Colorado and Nebraska. These tactics are nationwide. Did you tell on a bad cop or something? Francis wrote, Sean Schwartz, no, we were under attack at our home or at our properties all hours, day and night, for 2+ years, 2014 to 2016. We decided to start reporting. Sheriff's Department told us we needed to get surveillance or trail cam proof. We did. The first person we caught worked out of the Sheriff's Department named Blaine, and he was dating one of our neighbor's daughters. We were threatened by the lieutenant, Rickard, then the captain, Caslin, then, now retired, and the sheriff and state's attorney refused to meet with us. Then another neighbor, Daniel, criminally damaged our property at midnight. No lights, no plates, 2017. Then we were told we were getting nothing after that by the lieutenant. Don't know why. We believe because we had proof who it was, and they had to slap his wrist a little. They are above the law, people, unbeknownst to us. Since then, we have been nothing but punished legally and otherwise. The abuse continues heavily as of today. The state's attorney, Carlin, is trying to convict me again, even though we have given him multiple times proof of my innocence, video with sound. All right, folks, you guys have heard me talk about how important video evidence is and how important sound is. In the jails, in the prisons, and in the hospitals, they don't record sound. That allows them to do some pretty horrible things and put their own narrative to it. Claim that you were saying or doing things that you weren't. So this person here, what they're talking about is exactly the same thing I was talking about. Exactly the same thing that Teresa Massilia was talking about. If any of you have followed me long enough, you know that Teresa Massilia is a rape victim from Boulder, Colorado. There was two women, Christine Kelly and Teresa Massilia. Teresa Massilia was raped. She fought off her attacker. And when she told the cops were actually friends with the guy who raped her. They charged her with assaulting him, but did not charge him with the rape. Now let's move on to Christine Kelly. What happened to her? Well, she was also raped in Boulder, Colorado. And Miss Kelly was charged, when she turned in her predator for raping her, she was charged with false reporting, but her rapist was not charged with anything. Why is that? That's because Christine Kelly did not fight back hard enough. So if you fight back, you're doing something illegal. If you fight back against your rapist, like Teresa Massilia did, you're breaking the law, apparently. And if you don't fight back, then you are breaking the law, apparently. America is set up to victimize the victims. Now, this person here, Francis, not being allowed to show evidence, having a corrupt police force that they got to deal with, and it's people who work for the sheriff's department who are threatening, harassing, and intimidating this person. That's what happens when you tell on bad cops. Right here it says, we did. The first person we caught worked out of the sheriff's department. Imagine that. Where does Leslie Paul work here in Chapel, Nebraska? Well, for the sheriff's department. Anyway, I wrote to Frances, Connie, ma'am, we're in the same boat. I have a YouTube channel I created to sorry about the hiccups, to combat situations like this. I'm still taking abuse over crimes other people committed, and I have told the stories of at least 3 people from this group. By the way, that's true. 2 of them were having situations where their children were taken away because they told on law enforcement. And it wasn't just law enforcement that they had to fight. They had to fight law enforcement, Child Protective Services, Department of Health and Human Services, and most of you guys just assume that because those organizations are involved, that somebody must have done something wrong. Meanwhile, we got news correspondents nationwide showing us how much trouble Department of Health and Human Services, as well as police officers nationwide, and Child Protective Services, they're getting in a lot of trouble for doing exactly what this person is going through and what those other people have gone through. Now, I don't know if there's kids involved in Francis's situation, but I do know that this kind of harassment cannot be tolerated. Law enforcement cannot be above the law. And when law enforcement does something screwed up, we need people who are actually going to investigate it, who are actually going to look at the evidence. Public pretenders are not going to cut it. They're not going to do their job. They are not going to defend you because they don't work for you. They work for the government. They work specifically for the judges that they have to go into those courtrooms. They will not stand up to a judge. And then their excuse is always the same. They have an overwhelming caseload. If your caseload is so overwhelming that you cannot defend your clients, you need more public defenders. Or you need the cops to stop dragging people in on trumped up charges. Both sides need to be allowed to be shown. Now, in my situation, law enforcement that I was trying to turn in has repeatedly stolen my evidence and refused to take a look at any of the fucking bullshit that I have to go through. And the fact is, I'm not the only one going through it. Somebody needs to do something. Now, there's also, as many of you know, I've been involved in trying to help find missing people for a long time, since well before Natalie disappeared. We still got people going missing every single day, and nobody is doing anything about it. Nobody is actually fighting for change. They just want to bitch about it on Facebook and YouTube. And the fact is, it's just not doing any good. A lot of people are dead. And that needs to be looked at. That's not just my situation. In my situation, people are dead because I was not heard. I am one of millions of victims of judicial abuse every year. It's not just the cops. It's also Department of Health and Human Services doing what the cops want. It's also the judges and the public pretenders and the prosecutors. They don't have your best interest at heart. They get a paycheck whether they do their job or not. How many other professions can you do that? Let's say you're a bricklayer. If you're a bricklayer and you ain't laying bricks, you're not getting paid. If you're supposed to build a house and instead you build a hole, you did not do your job. You did not do what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing what you're getting paid for. It's horrible. Now, I'd like to see if Francis will have a conference call with me. And that way Francis can tell his or her story to y'all. I hope. Now, sometimes I try to focus on just one victim. And sometimes my videos end up talking about multiple victims. And there's a big difference. Is it their fight or our fight? In this case, it's somebody who's going through similar stuff to me. Of course, this person is probably not having to deal with all of the internet stalkers that I do. This person is definitely dealing with the issues in real life, however. And that's where many of you who want to say things to me like, just get off the internet, with all due respect, getting off the internet does not stop the abuse. I take abuse in person, in real life. I speak out about it on the internet. And you hating me on the internet is a small drop in this giant pond. It is such a small annoyance to me. Because unlike somebody who comes to my house or my friend's house to assault me, None of you namby-pambies on the internet are actually coming to do that. None of you guys are the ones who are threatening my life in real life. I'm not afraid of what you guys are going to do. It's people that I know in real life that I have to worry about. I know Robert Warnick in real life. I know Leslie Snell in real life. I know Scott DaCosta in real life. And Jared Hahn in real life. I know Chris Kurth in real life and Sandy Fromm in real life. And these are just a small portion of the people who have been predatory towards me in Chapel, Nebraska, a town of 500 people. It's a tough fight. And these are not just my rights being trampled. The rights of Francis are being trampled in the same way.